Hello, my name is Dyah Mustikasari and my student's number is 11 2019 and 025. In this video, I'm going to answer some questions that have been given by my lecturer and teacher, Mr. Dony. So, the first question is, what are the differences between translation and interpreting? So, translation is that you translate a language into another language by reading and writing about it, and then you have to be precisely and perfectly right to translate it, either it's by words or grammar, in the former language and then the after language, and then it's gonna take a long time because you're gonna have to write about it, you're gonna have to sync it between two languages. So yeah, it's gonna take a long time. And then in interpreting, you basically you will interpret what the speaker is saying to the listeners, so that the listeners could understand what the point that the speaker is speaking. And then in interpreting, you will interpret a language to another language in such a short time. I mean, when the speaker is saying, you're gonna interpret it to the listeners as soon as possible, as immediately as possible, and then it's gonna take a short time, and then it suits well with conferences and meetings for interpreting, and for translations it suits well with like legal action, like legal file, legal paper, or contract. And then so yeah, that's the answer for number one. For number two, basically, how many kinds of interpreting? Explain and give examples. So there are two kinds of interpreting: consecutive and simultaneously. In consecutive, you gotta listen to the what the speaker is saying, and then speaker's gonna stop speaking for a while, and then you're gonna have time to take a note about it, and then you could interpret it to the listeners, while simultaneously you 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 listen to what the speaker is saying, and then you immediately say it to the listeners, you interpret it to the listeners. So simultaneously take fewer time, while consecutive gonna take a longer time. And then what kinds of people who want to be an interpreter? So people who wants to be an interpreter gonna be people who have the adrenaline or rush or stress of being such in a short time to interpret a language into another, and giving and make the listeners understand what the speaker is saying in another language. And then you have to be someone who creative and fully understand in both languages, both the speaker is saying and what the listener is understanding. And then number four, what is another aspect of interpreting? So another aspect of interpreting is that in interpreting, you don't have to precisely or perfectly interpret a language into another, because in translation you're gonna have to precisely and perfectly sync both language that you will translate, while interpreting you basically can use your creativity. You can adding some new information. You can add aspects, cultural aspects, arguments. It doesn't matter what you adding in there, as long as it can make the listeners understand and get what's the speaker's point is like. So yeah, that's another aspect of interpreting. And then number five, what is the best thing of interpreting? Well, the best thing of interpreting is that it's not taking a long time. It's taking a short time, and then you don't have to bring your work home. So as long as the speaker stops speaking, your job is done, because as the speaker stops speaking, you just need to say it, to interpret it to the listeners, and then your job is done. So it's taking such a short time, and then you are and then it's perfectly suits for meetings and conferences, and then you don't have to write or read, you just only need to listen and speak. So yeah, that's the best thing of interpreting. And then what are the other advantages of interpreting? Well, you are gonna travel a lot. For you who love to travel, to go to another city, countries even, you are gonna have the chances to do that, because in interpreting you're gonna find yourself going to other places that you never imagined before. You're gonna go to meetings and conferences that you only see in the televisions, and then you're gonna meet all kinds of people from all around the world. And yeah, that's the other advantages of interpreting. But for myself, that's also the best thing of interpreting. So yeah, those are my answer of the questions that have been given by my lecturer and teacher, Mr. Dony, for my interpreting class. Thank you for watching this video, and see you next time. Bye.